detail at classroom teaching is important for understanding what precisely makes a lesson work well. This programme does exactly that, offering an important insight into the craft of classroom teaching. Malcolm Reed and Sasha Matthewman are experts on classroom practice. Working at Bristol University's School of Education, they both have many years' experience of training new teachers. We've asked them to carefully observe a video of a lesson and to comment on specific aspects of what they see. The lesson they're going to be watching is with a Year 7 geography class at Backwell School in Bristol. You can watch the lesson in its entirety on the Teachers TV website in a programme called Uncut Classrooms Geography.
Being a farmer, we've got to take the other.
Malcolm and Sasha are going to pause and replay the video to help highlight certain key moments. They're going to be focusing on group work and pupil feedback within the lesson.
I've come up with 6 points that I think maybe you can't get.
Teacher Claire Mackenzie is exploring the arguments for and against hedgerow removal from British farmland. We joined the 40-minute lesson about 10 minutes in, as she's about to begin a piece of group work exploring the conservationist arguments.
Let's see how she works.
For the next part of the lesson, we've done being the farmer, we've got to take the other end of the stick now. We've got to put on our conservationist hat and be the conservationist. Why do the conservationists want to keep the hedgerows then? So what you're going to do now is, on your name tags, you've got a number. And you're going to go to the numbered station. When you get there, you are going to have to complete a little task. And it says on the task sheet what you have to do when you get there. Now, I'm only going to give you about 5 minutes.
There's some nice stuff here. I think that what's emerging in terms of the learning style that she wants to develop in this lesson is to some degree a form of inquiry learning. A group going to look at a set of resources to make some decisions, to think it through, to ask questions of what's happening and to come up with some reasons. And this is neat in the sense that what she's doing is she's moving them out of the settled positions that they've occupied.
OK, let's see how they get on.
I was a 3.
A 3? So you can go there then with those boys. All right, Mike? You know what you're doing? Yeah. You've all got to fill out
OK,
sheets, so you better.
It's home groups, expert groups, isn't it? It's the jigsaw technique that she's using, and using it very efficiently. I mean, I'm just thinking, what a lot of preparation for 5 minutes work that they're going to be doing, and thinking, well, if you are going to, as a teacher, if you are going to put in that much preparation of resources and everything else, you want to make more of it.
Absolutely. It's a really good technique for a kind of established piece of research or longer piece of discussion.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I am a little bit concerned by is the fact that she's not really rehearsing with the pupils why they're doing this. She's kind of assuming that they'll just get on with it.
5, 4, 3, 2. You all right there, Nick? Yeah? Well done. Right. Fantastic. Right. So each person's going to got part of this.
It's remarkable how fast this class have got into groups, considering that the way that it's been set up. They're incredibly well behaved, and they have just gone on and they are just doing it, really.
Yeah. I can think of plenty of situations where that would have turned into disaster.
No, it would be a nightmare. You know. So it has actually, she's actually pulled it off here, really. So should we just move on to the home group bit?
They don't have the hedges. The Jack Russells can catch them, but they have the hedges. They can hide.
Right. So so it's perhaps important defence.
Yeah, defence.
Yeah, important for defence.
Did you see where she went important for defence just then, and she nodded down towards the girl who's holding the pen? And what that's telling me is that there's one person, you can see that the girl has got in her hand, you can see that she's got the pen. So she's the scribe, I think, for this group and this task. She's the one who's doing the writing. And you could see that there's a way in which what she's doing is that she's listening to people and what they're saying, and then she gave a little nod down which indicated this is something that I think that you should be writing down. Now, she never ever says this explicitly. There's nothing about writing this down, but you can see through the visual interaction, the face contact, that there is an issue that she wants.
Well,
here.
if they pick up on that, then that's enough, isn't it?
Yeah, if they do, yeah.
I mean, I really like the way that she actually does sit down with the group and talk with them and listen to them. Quite often we see teachers just in supervisory role who are just patrolling rather than actually getting down, talking to the children and actually finding out what they think and prompting them and moving them forward. And she does that very well, I think, throughout.
Well, the style is inclusive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way in which she's operated with each of the groups that we've seen has been to draw different people in, even when, you know, there's a point where in that last one that we looked at, you know, the girl is very forward and explains, but then she draws the boy in, and that's good because group work is often set up that you know one person does all the work and two people watch them,
and she's good at pulling all the people,
exactly.
pupils in.
What's interesting about feedback is who actually feeds from feedback. Is it just the teacher or is it the learners?
As feedback on the first group activity, Claire asks each group to present their arguments for hedgerow removal on their whiteboards.
Right, fantastic. Brilliant. OK, Catherine, can you explain one of your points then?
What intrigued me at the beginning was that she said, OK, put up your whiteboards so everybody can see it. And of course, that's exactly what didn't happen. The whiteboards are being shown to the teacher, not to everybody else.
But
so that kind of connection
it allows her to ask particular pupils to respond rather than waiting for the hands up. So she does actually pick out particular pupils from what she can see on the whiteboard. So that's fairly useful. I wonder whether we need to move forward a bit in the lesson. Or...
The hedgerows can have germs in them.
The pupils are now working in groups again, developing the arguments they produced for hedgerow removal. The question for our experts is, do the pupils understand the new activity and how do they feed this understanding back to the teacher?
Can you put stuff like if you were going to like change the crop? Can you put...
Well, it isn't clear exactly what she wants down on paper.
No.
She hasn't modelled that.
Which is kind of what that girl might have been contesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you remove your hedge, you can put, like, you're willing to plant some trees somewhere else.
Could do.
Can we not put that?
I wouldn't worry now, but that's a really good point to hang on to for next lesson, because we're going to start writing some persuasive letters.
This is a classic example of the teacher just holding the pupils back because she has her lesson structure in mind, the sequence in mind. But actually this is an amazing moment where a pupil is really beginning to develop argument.
He's saying all these reasons against doing it, but he hasn't really got any strong points that say you should.
Right, OK, so...
I will help nature by doing it.
That's a good point, yeah.
So
I would focus at the moment, because we're going to come on to that next lesson, focus at the moment about why he just wants to take them out.
Okay.
So although she acknowledges the point, it is deflected. Look, we're doing that next lesson, don't think about that yet. Why? She needs to be more flexible here, I think.
Yeah, and I was really interested in the expression on the teacher's face because that's what the pupil sees. That's what the girl is seeing. Absolutely. It's closing it down. I'm on my schedule. I'm on my script. You know, I don't want you to go there. But what was great about that girl was that she argued back.
Yeah,
she did it very politely, but she kept going at her. And she's remembered what was initially represented as the objective of the lesson, which is to have two different views, and that's what's going on in her head.
Now, I wonder if we could just fast forward a bit further on.
We've had one set of feedback after the starter, and I think that we're due another set of feedback.
I've come up with 6 points that I think maybe you can't get.
It's the point where you organise the knowledge that the class has been working on. So how is she then beginning to categorise the reasons that they come up with? You know, there might be economic reasons, there might be political reasons. You know, there must be ways that she could organise them.
Yeah.
I've come up with 6 points that I think maybe you can't get. So I want you to challenge me to see whether you can work out my 6. Do you think you can beat me? Do you think you can beat me, the teacher? Because I'm clever. Dan, you reckon you're cleverer than me, do you? Right, start us off then.
I like the idea of a competition.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like the idea that there's something up on the board that they can reveal, but is the whole point of feedback simply going to be compete with teacher, or is it going to be about banking and really fixing the knowledge?
OK, so let's see
how she works.
What happens.
I'm a bit nervous now. Alistair.
Pesticides in the hedgerows can pollute rivers.
I'm going to feel very sheepish now because I didn't even get that one. I think you should give me an orange slip. Very, very, very upset that you've managed to beat me on that one. Liam.
If this was a point here where she could record that on the whiteboard and say, right, OK, that's important, that's a really good point, let's put that up. But she doesn't do that. So again, it's going to get lost. And in any case, are any of them actually writing down these points that are going up, the lozenges, the six reasons? Are they being written down anyway? I don't think they are being recorded, are they?
Absolutely, and that's absolutely right. In terms of feedback, it's all one way. It's individuals feeding back to the teacher up here.
So there's no sense
in her. Yeah, there's no sense of her organising this knowledge exchange back to individual groups or to pieces of paper which record that knowledge. In terms of new teachers and people developing their practice, it is something that we see a great deal of. The feedback often elicits the comment from me, so what? You know, so you did this feedback as a kind of mechanical, this is what I need to do at the end of an activity. But what did it do?
Yeah.
How did it work as feedback? And I think that it's an unusually thoughtful teacher who has thought through that process of feedback to the point of knowledge exchange.
The problem with this is that she
has
thought it through, hasn't she? But almost too much. It's pre-prepared. It's one I did earlier.
Yeah.
And what teachers need to do in feedback is to be able to respond to what happens. So what should we say about that lesson overall?
Well, there's some good summary points that come out of it, and it's a really interesting lesson, isn't it? And in many respects, you know, we need to hold on to the fact that she's done very well. We did also like the way in which she managed groups in the sense of listening to people.
And being able to be flexible and to respond to what people say, which we saw at points. But I think that's, again, something to work on.
This is quite common in teachers that we see in classrooms where they've reached quite a successful level of practice, but they need to be thinking more about the more complex pedagogic practices, really, the difficult bits of drawing things together and saying less and facilitating more in terms of pupils' learning, maybe a real development pathway to consider.
We offered teacher Claire Mackenzie the opportunity to feed back on what Malcolm and Sasha had to say about her lesson. To read what she had to say, visit the web page for this programme on our website and click on the associated resources.